I research early modern metaphysics, primarily Margaret Cavendish, who was a 17th century woman philosopher. Um, I first came across Project Box when I was an undergrad in Scranton. I found Cavendish because I was using a textbook for a course on the rationalist and purist debate, and she happened to be in the back of it. I was not studying her, she was not in the syllabus. There were almost no women on any syllabus during my time at Scranton, which is very usual even nowadays for institutions like that. And I was shocked. I felt silly. I was like, oh my gosh, there were women in the 17th century writing philosophy. That's crazy. But there weren't a lot of resources on her because people had not been focusing on that kind of work. And so when I had to go online and look for resources, the first thing that came up was Project Vox. And by going to the Project Vox website, I not only found resources that made it easier for me to continue research on her, but I also felt like, okay, there's a whole organization of people committed to doing this thing, so it's a valid thing to do. It definitely made me feel like it was not a silly research track to go down. And at that time, I had professors, some of them, who didn't think that studying someone like Cavendish was a viable research track. And that's an opinion that people had, 20 years ago, maybe still have today. But it can be discouraging, especially when you don't see anyone around you doing research on women philosophers. And Project Vox was sort of a sign to me that they're doing it, they're just not doing it where you are. So I felt like I could continue to work on Cavendish. And then when I went to Simon Fraser, again, Lisa Shapiro was nothing short of the most supportive person I've ever met, and helped me continue to work in Cavendish. And then in selecting Ph.D. programs, I had been in an institution where I didn't feel like women were supported in, generally speaking, or supported in researching women philosophers. So I knew it was important to me that if I'm going to be somewhere for 5 to 7 years, that I want to be at a place that at the baseline already accepts that women philosophers are a valid track of research. And so I knew that Duke had Project Box. I knew they were the home of Project Box. I knew Andrew Janiak was here and Catherine Brading was here. And I felt like I would at least be in a place where I knew I didn't have to explain why my work mattered because they had already accepted it. And that was really important to me. You don't get that everywhere. You certainly don't get that at small institutions, and you don't even get that at the bigger ones who, are more public facing and maybe have the pressure to be more accepting of those things. So ultimately, Project Box was part of the reason that I felt like I could do the research I wanted to do, and it led me to Duke because I knew that it would be a supportive environment for me to do that kind of research.